Peter had just gotten out of church and made his way to the drugstore. He was going to get a soda. As he was sitting at the counter, he noticed everyone listening to the radio. They were talking about Pearl Harbor. No one knew anything about Pearl Harbor. They were saying things like, "What is that? Where is that?" Finally, a well-dressed man had stopped in the shop and said that it was in Hawaii. Then everyone was asking, why would anyone bomb Hawaii? Peter left the shop and wondered what did this mean for the country, never even thinking that this would affect him. Then, in September of 1942, Peter received a letter from the President of the United States of America saying, "Greetings. You are hereby ordered for induction into the Armed Forces of the United States." Peter then reported to the nearest station to receive his physical to see if, indeed, he was fit for fighting in the war. His heart was racing, and the doctor thought he had some sort of heart problem. The doctor asked him how he felt, and Peter replied, "What do you think? I'm nervous." Peter was cleared for training and left for Alabama in October of 1942. His father took him to the Greyhound bus station. His mother was too upset to go. While at the bus station, Labario told Peter, "Whatever you do, do not disgrace your family name. And for God's sake, son, keep your head down." Peter got on the bus, and he locked eyes with his father once more through the window before the bus pulled away. After training, Peter was able to go home one last time to get his affairs in order before leaving for England. Peter, along with hundreds of other men, left the United States on a troop ship to England. Once arriving in England, Peter did more training and was even able to visit Scotland with a couple of his new army buddies. Eventually, Peter was faced with the realities of combat. On June 5th, 1944, Peter was given orders to prepare for war. He found himself on another troop ship carrier leaving the cliffs of Dover on the English Channel. It was there the Allies' plans were delayed due to bad weather. This made for a very difficult boat ride. The seas were rough, and many boys were sick. However, Peter had nothing in his stomach because he was too nervous to eat. After waiting 24 hours on the English Channel, it was now 6 a.m., June 6, 1944. Operation Overlord was now in play. Peter was given the task of getting onto the Higgins boat and making his way to the beaches of Normandy. Peter was in the second wave of men to arrive on Utah Beach. Peter jumped into the water and noticed a few things. First, the water was a lot deeper than he expected it to be. He thought he was going to be taken up to the shore. Second, the water was ice cold. And third, the water was pink. Peter and his fellow GIs headed for the beaches of Normandy, where 1,200 Germans had guns positioned on the dunes overlooking the shoreline. They were armed with the Nazis' devastating new weapon, the MG-42 machine gun. Peter, by the grace of God, was able to dodge 25 bullets per second in order to make his way up the beach. Once there, he and the other GIs were faced with obstacles in front of them. Peter was one of the soldiers assigned to eliminate obstacles to make way for the other soldiers. He was known as the Torpedo Man. It was his job to assemble and place the Bangalore torpedo under the obstacles and barbed wire on the beach and blow them up. After creating a way for the troops to pass on the beach, Peter then headed for the cliffs. He climbed up the ladder and took the hand of a fellow American soldier and was hoisted to the top of the cliff, overlooking the beach and the water. Approximately a month later, Peter and his division were ordered to inspect the French countryside. They were to go through and clear all of the homes looking for the enemy or any traps the enemy had left for the French once they returned to their homes. While clearing a house, Peter was standing guard at the door. One of the men bumped a table, and there was a huge explosion. He had the back of his head blown off. He was knocked unconscious, and when he awoke, he was in a field hospital. Later, they transported him on a medical ship to New York. From there, Peter received treatment in a facility in Connecticut and New Jersey. He later found out that all of the other men in the house that they were clearing had died. He was the only survivor.